morning, everyone. My name is Alicia, and I'm going to be giving the webinar today. Welcome, all of you. Today, we're going to see how to work with the follow-up, all the options and all the features we have in follow-up. The follow-up is sort of a CRM. That's where you would put all your the properties that you're working with, and from there, start working with them. Sending emails, sending text messages, faxes. If you have professional dialer, you can make calls. So if you have Platinum, that's the most basic package, you do not have follow-up. So if you have Platinum and you want to know more about the follow-up or you want to try it out, please feel free to give us a call and upgrade your account. During the webinar, if you have a question at any moment, please feel free to type in your question in the question and section answer or in the chat section. I'll be happy to answer it as we go along. Okay, so here I'm logged into my REFX account. I'm going to go to search and do a little search so I can have properties to actually start working with. So here, this is my search panel. I'm going to search for, let's say, for sale, single family. Let's work with Miami-Dade. Let's look for active properties. Let's put a market value. Let's put between 200. Remember that the numbers you have it to put all the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. There I have market value between 2K and 400K. And let's put owner occupied, yes. Okay, so I have Miami-Dade properties that are for sale, single family, with a market value between 200 and 400 that are owner occupied, and they're actually active. They have active status. Let me tell you a little bit about that. Even though the properties could be for sale, you can then go to the for sale tab and select here the for sale status. Under the for sale status, you can find active properties that have no other condition on them. They're just active. You can find contingent, that is, there is some condition that has to be met before closing the deal. New construction, pending, that is, they're active for sale, but however, they already have a pending contract on them, and no pending. So I selected active. So we have no other issue on them. They're just active. So that's the last selection I made there. So let's click on search and we'll see what we come up with. Here I have a total of 267 properties. These are my results. I could select all of them and send them to my follow-up. There is no limit on how many properties I have in my follow-up. The limit would be only how many I send at a time. As you see up here, I have a selection of how many properties I have per page. I can select 50, 100, or 250. The 250 would be the limit of how many properties you can select and do the follow-up at once. So if you click on the top little square here and check it, you can see here on the top right side how many you have selected at this moment. You have a total of 267, and out of those 267, I have selected 50. As you see, I left it at 50 per page. If I want to select more, I can go to the next page. This first selection will stay there. And now I can select the next page. Now I have 100 properties selected. I can go to the next page. Those 100 are still selected, and I can select another 100. This type of selection, this selection works for whatever you're doing when you're selecting to send to follow, when you're selecting to export to Excel, that's how the selection in ReFX works. First you select how many properties you have per page, and then you go ahead and select page by page. If you want to unselect some of them, you just do that. Or here you have the clear selection. I'm going to clear the selection and go back to the first page because at this moment, I really don't want to send 100 properties to my follow-up. I'm just going to send several of them. Let's select 5 and send them to my follow-up. So it won't that much time, and besides, I already have properties in my follow-up. So I'm just going to select 5. The idea is you can select the page because this is the type of search that you want to do, and you are going to work with all of them. Or in your results, you can go into the overview of each one of them and decide. Let's say after I saw all the information on this property, I can decide, actually, this is one that I'm interested in. So I can send this property that I'm looking at here with all the information directly to my follow-up, clicking here in the follow-up icon. Here at the top, I have a little icon that's a little house that says follow-up. Remember that the icons on the top are actions to take. So this little icon, little house follow-up icon is to send. That's an action to take. This will send this property to my follow-up. So I just click on it, add property, and then I select how I want to send it to my follow-up. I'm going to try and buy it. So that's what I'm going to select. I'm going to buy the property. So let's send it as buying. If I already bought the property and I have a property that I want to now working and selling it, I look it up in ReFX in the search and send it to my follow-up as selling. If I get a whole bunch of properties that I'm not going to start working with them right now, but I don't want to lose track of them, I can send them as prospecting. And if you're a realtor, you have your own listings and you can send them as listings. So I'm going to send it as buying at this moment. In this moment, I'm sending only this one because I'm in the overview of this property. So I add the property and it's adding it to the. I have a question here. Hello. Hi, Pedro. Hello. Which search are you using? I'm not using any of the pre-saved searches. Okay, here it says successfully added. If I let's show you the question Pedro is asking is which search I'm using. If you're in your search panel, there are some pre-saved searches. If you're a BRIA or a DRIA mentor student, they upload in your account some pre-saved searches. So if you click here and manage search, you have here some preset searches that will put parameters that are pre-saved in the system. For example, let's say I want for sale multifamily properties that are pre-foreclosed. I click on it and click on load. That will put here those parameters here. But in this case, I didn't do that. I selected my parameters, my filters as I chose. So I just selected Miami-Dade for sale properties that with a market value between 200 and 400 that are owner occupied, and they're active for sale. I have another question here from Richard. Hello, Richard, welcome. So I'm planning on targeting 1,000 properties with batch SMS leads that I'll put up into my existing Podio system. How would I best send those properties into REFX and track my acquisitions efforts in REFX instead of my Podio system? Okay, yes, you can import your properties into your follow-up. I'll show you that when we get there. However, you're talking about 10,000 properties sending batch SMS. Depending on what type of account you have, we have two types of text messages. Let me go there and show you that. When you have your properties in your follow-up, this is the follow-up. I'll go back and come back here afterwards, but let me answer this question. Okay, from here, from my follow-up, I can select same as before. I can select by page, I can select one by one. So you're sending batches of text messages. So I would select by page. Remember that the text messages, the system will send to the contact that is set in the contact information of the property as the default, as the principal. If I click on one of the properties and go to contact, I'll see that the system highlights with a little star one of my contacts. In properties that are for sale, the contact that will be highlighted with the star is the agent. In properties that are probate, contact that will be highlighted is the attorney, sorry. In properties that are not for sale, they have no other condition, the owner will be the one that is highlighted. However, you can change the highlight. In the case of properties that are for sale, the system will send the text message to the first phone number found in the file, and it will tell you afterwards if it was successful or not. If the phone number was not a cell phone and was not capable of receiving text messages, you will find in tasks that the message was not sent because the number available was not a text message. So what I wanted to clear for you, Richard, is that with professional and professional dialer, there are two types of text message that you send. If I select my properties and click on send text, send SMS, I have standard and Plivo SMS. Plivo SMS are text messages that are sent only with professional dialer accounts because we provide a phone line, a Plivo phone line. Plivo is the provider of that soft phone that is used to send and receive text messages and to make calls. Those text messages have a limit of 500 per month. They are completely reliable. There is no, all phone carriers will receive your text message as you send it as a text message, as a normal text message, and you will receive the answers on your phone, and they will also here in the system. If you do not have professional dialer and you have professional, you have the option to send standard SMS. Those SMS are sent through the service of the email that you set up in the system. So even though they are received in their phones as a regular text message, they do not have any number to identify They are identified by a code given by email service. They receive it as a regular text message. If you want them to answer you to a specific phone number, you have to put your phone number in the body of the text so that you'll have a number where to answer to that. And this type of text messages have no limit. So you could, in theory, send those 10,000 text messages that you want to send. However, since this is a different service, there's not an actual phone line attached to these text messages. Some phone carriers are not able to receive these ones. So you might send the 10,000 text messages, and let's say 801 would not be able to be sent for some reason. However, you will know if you go to task, you see which text messages failed, and you can find another way to address those people. Hope that answered your question. Okay, I explained all that, and Richard, you want to contact only those that actually, yes, you can import the properties. I'll show you that. Okay, so let's go back to my results. Remember that I went into the overview and sent my property to follow-up. So I look at the property, look at all of the information, the details, the comparables, the active comps, the distress comps, and I decide, hey, this is a good deal. I actually do want to work with this one. So I click on follow-up and send them to follow-up. If I set up my search exactly like I wanted, and I'm sure all the properties that I'm in my results are properties that I want to work with, I don't actually need to go into the overview. I just have to check the little box on the left side and send to follow. Again, on the top, click on follow-up, label it as buying because that's what I want to do, and click on add property. So the system will add those properties to my follow-up. And see this little green circle that appeared here on the left side? That indicates to me that these properties are in my follow-up. So if tomorrow, next week, next month, I do a search, and for some reason, properties that I do have in my follow-up and I'm already working with come up in one of my searches, I can identify those in my follow-up with this little circle here. As you see, this is the followed status. So if I'm doing another search and I see that I have properties that have this circle identifying, I know that I don't have to send them to my follow-up because I already have them there. So now let's go to my follow-up. How do I go to my follow-up? Here I am in results. I did my search, put in my parameters, click on search, and get my results. These are my 267 properties. Now I sent these properties to my follow-up, and I want to go there and start working with them. So I click here on follow-up. The icons on the left are places to go. So I have on the top actions to take, and on the left places to go. I go to my overview, I go to my follow-up, I go to my task, I go to my emails, my contacts, my settings, and my templates. So let's go to my follow-up. This is my follow-up system. All these properties are properties that I'm working with currently. I want to keep track of them. I want to send text messages, emails, the actual contracts, and see what answers I have from the owners, from the agents, and all that I can do here in my follow-up. Let's refresh to make sure the new ones are in here. Yeah, so now this is the 5 that I just sent. So these are new. What do I see in my follow-up? First of all, I have the properties. You can see the little color circles here. If you want to know what the color circles means, you have the legend here on the top right corner. If you click on legend, you will see green ones are active properties. The color is set up automatically by the system. The letter, case is B, is because remember that when we send the property to your file, I selected buying because that's what I want to try and do. Well, they all have a B in them because that's what I select. The selection of the letter is something that I do. The selection of the color is something the system automatically does. The property is active for sale, so it will be green. If at some moment during the time your property is in your follow-up, the status of the property changes, the system will automatically change the color. For example, the active properties will become yellow when they have a pending contract on them. They will become, let's look at the legend. Let's see, you have new construction, buying, pending buying, non-active buying, by owner, expired buying, and sold buying. Remember that the buying is just a selection. So if you have a property in your follow-up and initially it was green, you will see that with time, if you actually didn't get to do anything with them, the color of the little circle will change. So let's go back here and see what I see here. First of all, I see date, address, zip code, days on the market. In this case, because I have days on the market, and these ones that are green because these are properties active. The blue ones are by owner. That is, there is no information on MLS on these properties. That's why they don't have days on the market. Contact. As I said, by default, the contact for properties that are for sale would be the agent, and properties that are non-active for sale, that is, they are by owner because there is no information on MLS. You'll see that the contact by default is the owner. I haven't calculated an offer on this, so there is no offer percentage or offer factor. Price, rate of price change. When you send properties to your follow-up that are active for sale, they come in here with the list price. The system will automatically look for if the list price has changed since the property was put up in MLS, since the property has been active. If there has been any change in the list price, it will be reflected here with how much price rate change has been. And then I have the offer. This column, the offer column, is the one that I need to have filled out before actually sending a contract. I can't send a contract if I'm not telling them how much I'm offering on the property. So let's do that first. I'm going to select the 5 properties I just sent to my follow-up and click on calculate offer. What calculate offer will do is take the list price of the property and apply to that amount the percentage that I select. Let's say I want to offer 75% of the list price, and that result I want it rounded up to 100. The system will take the list price, calculate 75% of the list price, and put my offer in the offer column. Now I'm actually ready to send my offers. So all I have to do is check the little boxes here, click on send document, select the contract that I want to send to these properties. Everything else will be filled out. Remember that we're My offer is already calculated, so the system will put that in my offer contract. Here I select which additional documents I want to go out with my contract. In this case, I have the option to send the lead-based paint disclosure. That one is by default already selected. That's something that you have to do when you set up your documents. You can put some as default and some just leave for selection. I can select proof of funds and the EMD. And let's select all of them. And let's preview. Since I'm sending I selected 5 properties, I can preview any one of them. Let's select one of them and click on preview. And let's wait. There. As you see, the system fills out my contract with the seller's information. My name is a buyer. As a buyer, you have to put, that's something that you have to fill in. You can fill it in with your name or with the name of your company if you're buying under a company's name. The system will automatically fill out the property's information, my offer, initial deposit, additional deposit, and do the math and put balance to close. It will put my signatures and fill out all the contract as it's filled out in my templates in settings documents, additional terms, signatures, and everything. This is the lead-based paint disclosure, as you see, and proof of funds, and everything is here. Let's go back to REFX. So now what I would do is click on send by email. Here I would have the cover email. This is the email that will go out with my contracts. I can type it in directly here, or I can look for my templates. If you want to know how to create email templates, please go back to the help section and look at the tutorial videos on how to create templates. There are previous webinars on how to create templates, or give us a call and schedule a coaching. We're always available for coachings from Monday through Friday from 9 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon at your convenience. All coachings are completely free and you can schedule as many as you need. So once I do select my template or type in my email, my cover email, I just click on send document. I'm not going to do it because I would actually be sending that contract and I don't have the money to buy those properties. So let's get out of here. Just slowly retreat and go back. Okay, so I'm here back in my follow-up. Let's see what else I can see in my follow-up. At first glance, I can see these little circles. I'm sure if you haven't looked at this before, you were wondering what these little circles are. So let's go to a property that has already been worked with to show you that. Okay, there are 5 circles. The first one, if you put your cursor on top of the letter, it will show you the legend of what it is. The first one is contract. Second one, proof of funds, EMD, addendum, and offer received. What is this? When I send a contract to a property, remember, as I just showed you, the contract, not only I can send the contract, I can send the contract with a proof of funds, with an EMD, with an addendum. And the system, once you send those documents out, the system will automatically analyze that and check these little circles. So just at first glance, you know which properties you have already sent the contracts to, or proof of funds, or EMDs, or addendums. So let's open this one. For example, this one I have that I send the contract, I send addendum, I didn't send a proof of funds, but I actually received an answer from them because I have the offer received box checked. What is the offer received? As I said, the first 4 will check themselves automatically. Once you send the documents, the system will check them automatically. The last one, that's offer received, you have to check manually. That is, you send the contract, an email, and you got an email in response, or maybe a call or whatever. And then you come here, click on the last circle, that's offer received, and check that offer received little box, and put a note to yourself here. Let's say offer received, they counter off they did not accept offer, counter offer sent. This is a note for myself that will be saved in the follow history. I'll show you where the follow history is in a minute. So I check the offer received circle. Well, here's a box, and here it turns into a circle. So I check the little box, put a note for myself on what the answer I received from them was, and click on save. That will check. It moved up. That will check the little circle and saved in the follow history. I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. Okay, each one of the properties saves automatically. The system automatically saves everything that you do with any of these properties in your follow-up. So if I click on one of them, I get this little window where I can go to contact information that I already showed you, where you would have all the contact information available for that property. The other thing I have is I can go to the overview and see all the information available on the property. Then I have go to contract. If I sent, I already have sent a contract to this property, I can go to contract and actually see the contract that I sent to that property. Well, it should open here. It's not opening. Sorry for that. It's, in theory, it would open the contract and show you the contract that you have already sent. Then I have follow history. Go to follow history. What I have in my follow history. The follow history is a history of everything that I've done with the property, from the most recent ones to the oldest ones. So first of all, the oldest follow history that I have here is that I added the property to my follow. Then I calculated an offer. I changed the priority to high, changed the status, added the property to deal generator. If you want to know more about deal generator, please check out the webinars on deal generator. It's an app that is used for driving for dollars. So you have at hand all the information on the properties and a guide that will map out using your GPS and let you drive up to the property and knock on the door with all the information at hand. I tried to send a contract, but failed. I calculated a new offer. I created a task. I sent an email. I sent a text message, sent another text message by Plivo, added the property to deal generator, created a new task. So everything that I do will be saved here. If I create tasks, remember that not only can you send, receive text message, send text messages, contracts, emails. At this moment, you can schedule them for later time. Click and then schedule tasks, Again, this is something that you can check out in our tutorial videos or give us a call. Remember, you always have the blue bubble down here on the bottom left corner, and you can open a chat and ask anything to one of our customer service personnel, and we'll try to help you and answer any questions you might have. So if I schedule a task and I have some pending tasks, those pending tasks will be here. See, I created previously a task that I wanted to call the property. So here I have the pending task that I know that I have to call the property. Actually, I was supposed to call it on March and I did it. Bad little girl. Didn't do my homework. And I had to visit the property on May 23rd, and I didn't buy the house. Okay, so here you see the pending task. If you had some automatic tasks that should have gone out automatically, here you would see which ones didn't go out. For example, I schedule a email to be sent out. And at that moment, my email wasn't set up correctly. So the username or password was not accepted. So the email didn't go out. So I would have to go back and try to resend whatever I was trying to send. Here you have the outbox and the inbox of the emails for the property. And if you have professional dialer, this is the inbox and outbox of your text messages. Next week's webinar will be all about follow-up history. So I'm not going to go too in-depth into follow-up history. Today we're seeing what we're looking at the follow-up as a general. The follow-up history will be next week's theme. Okay, so let's go back to my follow-up page. So as I said, I can see address, zip code, days on the market, contact, offer, price, list price, offer, counter offer. If you make a counter offer, you can put in the counter offer here. Last update, this will tell you how many days have passed since the last time you worked or did anything with this particular property. For example, this one I haven't touched in 51 days. If I go up, see the ones that I just put into my follow-up have a 0 because I'm working with them right now. Last of all, I have priority. This is something I can manually change. Let's say these 5 properties that are the ones that I'm more currently putting into my follow-up, I'll give them a high priority. And that way I can then use the filter and filter by priority. Okay, so what I see on screen that I just mentioned is my default template. I can change what I see on screen. Let's say if I click here on grid template, I have some preset templates that I have. These ones that have the default prefix are already created in your system, and you will be able to use them, and you can create your own ones. The default is the one that it's applied by default every time you use it. But I can create it. Let's apply another one, financial view. If I select it and click on load, the columns on my screen changed and the information available for me changed. Now I have the date I added the property to my follow-up, and last update, address, zip code, contact name, the owner's name, if it's owner occupied, yes or no, the number of the owner, financial, that is if it's active, if it's not active, if it's an REO, if it's that would be here, and the priority column. Let's apply another template. Let's apply the status view. Now I have again followed status, address, days on the market, contact, list price, offer factor, offer price, financial, and status. The status is something I can apply to the properties, especially when I start working with them and I want to identify what I've done with them, and let's say maybe I want to label them in some way. This is the column that I will use for that. If I have these 5 selected, I can change the status, update out status. They're active. Let's say I already sent contracts and they told me they already are on the contract, but they will keep my contract as a backup, so I can select backup contract, save, and now on screen I can see that label on my properties. So I don't have to actually go into the follow history of the property and read everything and see. I can immediately here on screen, applying my default status view. I can see that these ones, I already sent a contract and they answer me and put it as backup contract. Not only can I use the available status that are here, I have assist, back active, backup by owner, cancel, counter offer, default. I can create my own ones. See, I have prueba uno, prueba dos, rejected, sold, temporarily withdrawn, under contract, webinar test, because I can create my own status. That is, if I work a certain way and I need to label a property with something that I need to see, I can create a new one with something I want to see. Click on OK. And now I can apply that new status that I created. Oh, it doesn't appear, so let's close. And here it is, new, and save. So you can create your own status depending on how you want to work with your properties. Do we have any questions up to now? There is a lot of more things that we can do, see in the follow-up. So let's hear your questions about the follow-up, and in any ways, I'll continue. My follow-up, I can export. Remember, same as we do with results, that I can export to Excel my results, but the system will export only what I have on screen. So I have to create my templates so I can export what the information that I want. Same thing with my follow-up. I can export my follow-up, but I need to apply this grid template with the information I want. If I exported this particular with this grid template applied, I would have in Excel date, last update, address, zip code. So let's say I want more information, I can create my own grid templates. So I applied one that I had created before, and now I have address, debt to equity, the folio number, the market value, the owner's name. I'm going to select some to export because I need to show you how to import properties to your follow-up. So I actually do need some of this information. So I'm going to export to Excel 10 properties. You can, the export to Excel has a limit, overall limit in REFX per month of 5,000 properties per month. That is exporting them either from follow-up or from results. So in total, you will always have 5,000 properties per month. I'm going to export this 10. All I have to do is check the little boxes. Remember how you can check the whole page or 2 pages or whatever. I just click here on export and export to Excel. In this case, that's what I want. And here I have, this is taking some time. Okay, so here I have the list of properties I exported. What I want to show you is how to import to your follow-up. So I'm going to delete them from here. Well, first, before deleting them, I'm going to block them. Let me show you. I already deleted them. Well, I'll delete them. I blocked them later and show you. Okay, so I deleted them because I want to import them back into my follow-up. If you get a list of properties outside of REFX and you want to import them to REFX, all you have to do is click here on import. And here you have a blank window where you have to paste either the column with addresses or the column with folio numbers or parcel IDs. That's what you need to paste here, separated by commas or line breaks. So let's go to the list I just exported. I have folio numbers and I have addresses. The most accurate way is to use folio numbers. If you use addresses, if there are multi-family properties or multi-units, you might get some repeated properties and the system will tell you total properties found, but 2 were duplicated and only imported 1. So the most accurate way would be to select the column with the folio numbers, copy, go to REFX, paste it here, and click on search. It will ask me what state and how I want to send them to my follow-up. Again, I'll send them as bind because that's what I want to do. Click on process. So the system is looking for those properties in the database. So in this case, you saw that these were properties that were in my follow-up and I deleted them. But even if they're not anywhere in, you haven't looked for them actually in REFX, there are X properties that you got from X place. Only placing this information on import, it gave me a report that it found all 10 properties. When you go to follow-up, refresh, I have the 10 properties I just imported. Even if they were properties that I got from elsewhere, the system will pull from the database of REFX all the information available for the property. So they will be just the same as any property, even if found in REFX. They will have all the contact overview, well, follow-up history they won't have because they would be new, but all the information, all the property, all the overview information will be there because it will look for the property in the database, pull all the available information on that property. So Richard, I believe that answered your question. Once you find properties that you want to work with and you have them elsewhere, all you have to do is go to import, type in or paste the address of the property or best the folio number, click on search, and that will bring the property to your follow-up with all the data available in our database for that property. So go back to follow-up, following. Okay, so remember the first thing I told you when I send properties to my follow-up that they would be labeled here in this little column. Let's say I worked with these properties, but I didn't get anywhere with them. I they're just sitting here in my follow-up and I don't want to see them anymore. I didn't get to anywhere with the owners. So I select them. I'm not going to delete them. I can delete them, but if I delete them, I won't know that I already work with those properties. So the best option would be for me to block them. So if I block them, the system will take them out of my follow-up list. I selected these 6 and send them to another tab where I have properties that I work with that I don't want to work with for now. And they're here. But if I go back to my results, now they're not identified with a green circle, they're identified with a crossed out red circle. So if they come up in any other search I do, I know that I won't waste my time with them because I know they are properties that I already work with and I got no place with them. And so I'll just go to the next one. So that's the best way to deal with properties in your follow-up that you do not want to work with anymore. Block them, do not delete them. So for now, that's what I wanted to show you for follow-up. As I said, if you want to know more, if you have any doubts, if you want to learn how to use something specific that I didn't cover here, give us a call, schedule a coaching, and we'll be happy to help you. Open a chat and ask any quick questions. And for now, that would be all. Thank you all for being with us today and hope to see you next week. As I said, next week we'll talk all about the actual follow-up history. So wait for you all next week. Okay, the blocking part. Let's go back. I have all these properties in my follow-up. I already sent contracts. Let's say I got answers from some of them and I really didn't get anywhere with these properties. I don't want it in my follow-up anymore. But if I check and delete it, I will lose all the information that I had in the property. All the data would be here, but my follow history will be lost. And if, let's say next year, for some reason, they call me back and say, hey, are you still interested? I can look for the property in the blocked section and bring it back to my follow-up. The other advantage of blocking instead of deleting is that when I do a search that for some reason fit the parameters of those properties that I had in my follow-up and I blocked, now in my results, they will be identified with a crossed out circle. So this is my results. And as I'm just looking at these results, I see that one of these properties is in my follow-up and I'm currently working with it. And these 4 properties are blocked. So I already work with them. I didn't get anywhere with them, but I won't lose my time right now with them. Won't do anything with them because simply I already work with them and I have nothing more to do with them for now. This one is already in my follow-up. So if I want to send some properties to my follow-up, I'll start from here down and start working with brand new properties that I haven't looked at before. This one is already follow-up, so I don't have to check it and send it because it's there. And these 4 are blocked, so that means I already worked with it, finished with them, didn't get anywhere with them. But in case the 2 things that the block properties help me with is identifying as properties that I already work with. And in case something comes up next down the road, I can go to my block properties and send them back to my follow-up. Restore, and they will be restored to my follow-up with all the follow history that I had before. So now if I go back to results and refresh, I think I selected one of those. So let's see. Well, it's taken to see. I restored that black one. So now it's in my follow-up again, and I can start working with it again. And it kept all the follow history that I had before. So that is the advantage of blocking properties instead of deleting them. Hope that answered your question. And if we don't have any more questions, again, I wish all of you a great weekend and a successful next week. And see you all back here on next Friday. Bye. It was a pleasure being with you today.